Hi guys, welcome back. The first part of this video is my opinion. The second part is a how-to. I'll put chapters in the description if you want to skip ahead. So onto my soapbox. Let's talk about recording child protection. In my opinion, recording should be mandatory for all child protection meetings and phone calls. They're conducting an investigation and gathering evidence against a parent to remove a basic human right, the right to be a parent. They exaggerate and paint a parent as a villain by putting their life under a microscope. The idea that this can be taken away from someone based on hearsay evidence should be alarming. Recording protects the parents and also the social workers themselves as long as they're doing the right thing. If child protection was conducted by law enforcement, parents would be given the right to remain silent and have some understanding of the seriousness of the situation. They're less likely to say flippant things that can be easily misunderstood. The interview would be recorded and then it becomes a factual-based investigation. In our recent video, Stupid Reasons, we saw a social worker turn a zero-calorie soda into an energy drink. This bias exaggeration is a common technique used by child protection to demonise parents and misrepresent statements the parent has made. The parent's testimony is given little weight in court against the testimony of the social workers, and boom, we have a child removal based on pure creative narrative. In my own circumstances, I became concerned very early on with what I saw occurring with child protection. My grandson had come into my care in the middle of renovating my house. Child protection had asked me if there was any way they could help, and I said, maybe a couple of days of daycare so I can finish a few things around the house. Later that day, I overheard the caseworker saying I had said I couldn't cope with my grandson, and they then ordered me to put him in full-time daycare. Other things occurred, and I became so concerned and uneasy that I went to my local police. I told them I was worried that something really dodgy was going on. The officer immediately advised me to record all interactions. I asked if it was legal to do so. He laughed and said, "Of course. Think of all the car cameras out there. If it wasn't legal to record, why would that be allowed?" People often say to me, "So this is great that you're exposing what's going on, but what now? What can we do about this? Will this bring my children home?" What people don't realise is that you lose your children the moment you open your mouth, the moment the spotlight goes onto your family. The most important time is when that early investigation is going on, those very first interactions with child protection. In the US, come on guys, you have the fifth. You don't need to say a word. For Australia and the UK, we don't have the fifth, but no one can actually make you say a word. The best, most effective time to fight for your children and your rights to parent are right at the beginning, when the creepy social worker turns up at your doorstep. Stay nice, but lawyer up and protect your rights and your children's rights. At the moment, child protection are a law unto themselves. The system is so shrouded by secrecy and suppression, gag orders and media blackout, that most people have no idea what is really occurring. Social workers believe they are untouchable and can do anything without reprisal. They have immunity against civil action and freely lie in court. People have tried to win in court, have tried approaching politicians, have tried approaching media. We are not taken seriously. By the time we've been demonised by child protection and our families have been torn apart, we are traumatised and a mess. Parents and families are taking the brave steps of speaking out regardless of the cost. We need to shine a light on what is going on. As more and more people show recordings like Soda Guy, the more the general public will understand that something bizarre is going on, and it's not about protecting children. It's not constitutional, and it is a breach of human rights. It's time to expose the lies and perjury, expose the corruption, expose the abuse of children in care, expose the terrible outcomes for children in care. What else can we do? We're backed into a corner, our families torn apart with nothing more to lose. That is our only power left, the power of our voice, the power of the truth. So, what is the law regarding recording? All countries and states are different in regards to the law, so you will need to seek legal advice to understand the laws that apply to you. However, in general, 1. It is illegal to record someone without their knowledge, but it is a defence if you're doing so to protect your legal rights. Be aware that generally you can record in a public space, your own home, and anywhere it is reasonable that somebody could overhear what is being said. 2. You may or may not be able to use the recordings in court. This is often up to the magistrate or judge. 3. Generally, you will not be able to publish the recordings unless there is public interest. If you do publish the recordings, you may face steep fines or even imprisonment. Do you tell them you are recording? Well, I wouldn't. In my case, my workers knew I had recorded some immoral and even illegal things occurring. So when I told them I had been recording, the case escalated immediately. Step 1. Buy a diary. It's good evidence for court if it's handwritten. Date and initial each entry. In the first entry, make a diary note like I, insert name here, am recording my interactions with child protection to protect my legal rights. 2. On your phone, you can download apps that record your phone calls automatically and then access your files through a PC. I recommend an app called ACR. I'll put a link in the description. It's easy to set up and it's set and forget. Step 3. Meetings. There are a couple of ways you can approach meetings. Most smartphones have a built-in voice recorder app. Test it out before a meeting. You can also use voice recorders with their own memory. Again, I'll put some links in the description. A better option, in my opinion, is a hidden camera. There is something very powerful about seeing a social worker's behaviour. Take Soda Guy. We can tell people how social workers behave, but seeing them do it is very powerful. Hidden cameras are cheap and easy to buy and can be put in things like glasses, pens, anything you can think of. Diary and transcripts. After a meeting or phone call, download the file and listen through it. Make notes as you are going. If you are quoting a worker, make sure you note their name and quote them exactly. If you end up in court, you may need to write a transcript of the entire meeting or phone call and then get that checked and signed off on by a justice of peace. Your lawyer will advise you on this. Publishing. So, as we can see with the recent events in America, recording is a powerful medium for breaking through cognitive dissonance. This is what we need, for the wider public to become aware of what is going on and bring accountability and transparency to a system that is shrouded in secrecy. Publishing recordings of this behaviour should be made legal and should be allowed if we truly live in a democracy and have free speech. So wherever you are in a case, if you record and capture evidence of what is occurring, you will be part of bringing change to a system. I can't promise you it will bring your children home, but ultimately it will become part of bringing all our children home and bringing about a fairer, safer system for all.
We've had enough of the abuse of Oranga Tamariki and the family court, and we've had enough that our bloody politicians are got no ears on. And we're getting angry.
In a world where there are cameras everywhere and the footage can be used by the government to track and prosecute crime, it is unreasonable for the same governments to shroud their own practices and behaviour. If you do record and capture evidence of social workers lying, exaggerating, threatening you or bullying, or any other behaviour, then contact us so that we can expose it. Or contact another YouTuber. It doesn't have to be us, we just want this exposed. We won't publish recordings if you have children in your care, as we won't risk child protection punishing you by removing the children. We also won't give children's names or show identifying photos or videos of children. The most valuable recordings are videos which show the workers, as they are indisputable. If you are in court, it may be unwise to publish recordings, as it may affect the outcome of your case. That being said, there have been cases where people have exposed child protection and this has led to a successful outcome. I strongly advise that you get legal advice before publishing any recording. If all else has failed and you have nothing left to lose, this is probably the time to publish. but be aware of the costs. Child protection may cut your access to your children, and you may even go to prison. A lot of parents have had enough and are prepared to pay this price if needs be, so that this system is fixed. Sometimes this is what it takes to bring change.
The contents of this video does not constitute legal advice, nor is it intended to be a substitute for legal advice, and should not be relied upon as such. You should seek legal advice or other professional advice in relation to this issue. We do short and in-depth videos on child protection practices. We also interview parents who tell us of their experience with child protection, as well as interviews with experts in the field. Please subscribe, hit the bell, and visit our website. See our description for more links.